Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're going to talk about workplace bullying. But wait, don't tune out. This isn't going to be some boring, stuffy lecture. Nope. Think of it more like a science experiment. We're going to look at one tiny action and the huge invisible chain reaction it sets off. Sound good? Let's dive in. So, you've probably heard it a million times, right? Someone tells you to just tough it out, or my personal favorite, grow with thicker skin. But I've got to ask, is that really the best answer? Is toughing it out a real strategy, or is it kind of like just giving up and letting the problem take over? Let's find out. Okay, so here's what's on deck. First, we'll talk about why this is such a big deal. Then we'll see how it impacts you personally. After that, we'll explore how feeling bad can lead to working bad. Then we'll see how it spreads to the whole team. And finally, we're gonna open it up for a chat. Simple enough? Let's get to it. Okay, so let's start with this idea of dropping a pebble. Picture a pond, totally calm, like glass. You toss in one tiny pebble. It's almost nothing, right? But then you see the ripples. They start small, but they spread out and out and out until they've touched every single part of the water. Well, that little pebble, that's a single act of bullying. And those ripples, they can turn into some seriously big waves. And look, we're not just talking about someone getting their feelings hurt. No way. The experts are super clear about this. This is real, documented stuff. We're talking about increased stress, your self-esteem taking a huge hit, and even feelings of anxiety and depression. This is so much more than just having a bad day at work. So what does all that expert talk actually feel like in real life? You know that feeling, that pit in your stomach when you're on your way to work, or when you're sitting at your desk and you realize your shoulders are practically up by your ears because you're so tense. Yeah, that. Or maybe it's planning your trip to the kitchen just so you don't have to bump into a certain someone. That's the stuff we're talking about. That's the reality. All right, let's look at that first ripple, the one that hits the person who's being targeted. This is ground zero. This is where it all begins. So what's the personal toll? It's not just one thing. It's like a whole mix of nasty stuff. You've got chronic stress, you've got anxiety, you've got your self-esteem just getting hammered, and this general feeling of, psychological distress. Now, just imagine trying to juggle all of that while you're also trying to, do your job and hit a deadline. It's a lot. Okay, and this is where it gets really, really important. It's not just about the person being bullied. The research shows that this stuff is basically contagious. If you just see it happening to someone else, you're more likely to feel that same stress and anxiety too. So all of a sudden, one person's problem has spread to the people around them. It's like a virus. So what happens next? Well, when you're carrying all that heavy emotional stuff with you every single day, it's pretty much inevitable, right? Feeling bad starts to turn into working bad. And that's our second ripple, where the personal stuff starts to mess with your professional life. I mean, look at this comparison. It says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you've got someone who's confident, focused, getting stuff done. But on the other side, that person's brain has basically been hijacked. All their mental energy is going towards just dealing with the harassment, not the actual work. So is it any surprise that they might make more mistakes, or have trouble concentrating, or even just call in sick more often? You just can't be at your best when you're constantly in survival mode. And this isn't just some random idea, Big organizations have done the research. The takeaway is simple. When people are treated poorly, it doesn't just hurt their feelings. It actually hurts their performance. It damages the work. Morale and performance, they're totally connected. You can't have one without the other. Okay, so the ripple has hit one person. It's messed with their work, but it doesn't stop there. Now we're gonna zoom all the way out to see the biggest ripple of all, the one that washes over the entire team and can poison the whole culture. This is where a single problem becomes a full-blown crisis for everyone. This lays it out so clearly. Check it out. It starts with one person feeling stressed. Then, like we said, the people who see it happen also get stressed, but they also start to lose trust. And trust is like the super glue of a team. Once that's gone, forget about working together. Morale just tanks. And what's the end result? Your best employees, they either call in sick or they just quit. They're out. And what are you left with? A hostile environment. It's a place where people's brains aren't focused on cool new ideas or working together. Nope, all that precious time and energy is being wasted on just worrying, on trying to avoid drama, on just trying to make it to 5 o'clock without anything bad happening. What a waste, right? Okay, so we've seen how these ripples can cause a whole lot of damage. But here's the most important part of our whole chat today. What do we do about it? How do we actually stop the ripples from spreading? We've taken a good look at the problem. Now it's time to talk about the solution. So before we jump into a big group chat, I want you to just think about this for a second on your own. Really actually picture this in your head. You're in a team meeting and there's one person who's always getting put down. Maybe it's a joke, or maybe their ideas just get shot down immediately. How does that one thing change the vibe in the room for everyone? What does it do to people's motivation or their willingness to share their own ideas? And that brings us to the main event, our group discussion. Let's connect all these dots we've been talking about. How does that kind of negative vibe we just imagined lead to real-world problems? Like more people calling in sick, good people leaving, and the whole team just not hitting its goals. What's the real cost of all this? All right, it's your turn. Let's talk it out.